Diadora is an Italian brand with a long history in sport. But now, they're trying to reinvent themselves for the modern era of running, and they've invited media to their HQ to see what they've been working on. So it's time to hop on a plane and head to Italy. This is a Runner's Weekend at Diadora HQ.
Yo, what's going on? Just made it into Italy. It's been a very long day of travel, but we're here now in a little town called Montebelluna. It's just outside of Venice. We're here to visit Diadora for the week, check out some new stuff that they've been working on. There's a lot of friends here. Drew's here, Ashley's here, Brian's here as well, and we're going to be meeting some other US media here too. Should be a really fun trip. It's my first time visiting Diadora, although not my first time to this part of the world, and I absolutely love it here. First things first, let's go for a run.
I always like to try and get in a run as soon as I arrive somewhere, as I think it's a good way to shake off the travel and meet the new place. I was glad to have Drew join me on this run. We started out running from the hotel down to the center of Montebelluna. We found a gravel path that was well manicured and peaceful, and then we headed back up the hill towards the hotel.
All right, we're pretending to stop to take pictures of this church because we just need to catch our breath. That was a really big hill.
At the top of the hill, there's a 5K loop that takes you through some vineyards. I wasn't expecting such views, and it was a great way to end a lovely afternoon run.
Just shy of 6 miles on the day. A little bit of climbing though. Not climbing, but there was hills. A lot of work, but feel good. Today was supposed to be a rest day on the running schedule, but I'd like to add some mileage to this week. I think they only assigned me like 39 miles, so I think I could do a little bit more than that on this trip, but we'll see how it goes. So far, so good. How'd it feel out there, Drew?
Pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah. For traveling 18 hours, yeah, good.
Gorgeous scenery, too.
The evening's activities started off with a prosecco tasting at the hotel. We learned about how prosecco is a regulated term, and much like how champagne can only come from the Champagne region in France, prosecco can only come from the region of Italy where we were. We began tasting a variety of proseccos that were made with grapes grown on the property, and of course, they were palate cleansers. And then it was time for dinner. There was more wine and also cacio e pepe, or mac and cheese for grown-ups. The following morning, Drew, Ashley, and I got together for an early run. We started out on the vineyard loop and then headed down into Caerano di San Marco. We took a picture by the church, and then we had to run back uphill to get to the hotel to meet the group for our group run.
5.25 miles. Whew. The hills on that last part were a lot. Now let's meet up with the rest of the group. Go for another run.
The group run took us back through the vineyard loop, and I definitely didn't mind running through this road again. It was just so relaxing.
All right, that was nice. Total of about just shy of 9 miles for today. Run up plan called for 9.3. I'm going to call that good enough. Oh. Let's get some breakfast.
After breakfast, we took a bus for an entire half-mile trip down the hill to get to Diadora HQ. Our first stop was in the archives. I think it's important to note that the first thing that Diadora shows you in the archive is tools of the trade. This is a place that started with a knowledge of shoemaking, and their passion for sport led them to making the shoes of champions. We met with Claudio Borra, the CEO. He took us to the factory where Diadora's made in Italy shoes are made, including the Atamo Star. This was my first time in a shoe factory, and it was remarkably quiet. Certainly, there was a repetitive whir and hum of machines, but even those noises I found to be almost like a robot lullaby.
Then you have to do this one, and then you do the that one. So technically, you take more than a day. What means? It means that it's here.
There was a notable lack of smell in the factory. Claudio told us that they had to really work on that aspect because shoe glues tend to be incredibly smelly. It used to be that you could smell the glue before you even entered the HQ building, and now this factory pretty much just smelled like an office building. No one there seemed rushed or stressed. Sure, this was a day they knew media would be coming, so I take it all with a grain of salt. But it seemed like a good work environment where skilled craftspeople could succeed. Diadora prides itself on how close their product development teams work together. In just 100 footsteps, you can get from design to testing, and that was where we were headed next. The Atamo Star is made of a single piece of supercritical foam. The source material starts really small, it's put into a chamber with heat and pressure, and when that reaches a supercritical state, gas is introduced into the chamber and the source material expands into a piece much larger than the final midsole needs to be. That large piece is then compression molded, which gives the midsole its final design, but also makes the foam more responsive and durable. To test what they've made, Diadora uses two main machines. One is a durability test that replicates thousands and thousands of foot strikes. And the other is a machine that tests how much energy return a midsole has. They hold up the shoe at a measured angle, it's released, and the amount that the shoe bounces back is also measured. And the percent of the distance the shoe travels on the bounce is a percent energy return. In this room, Diadora also has cameras set up to test a runner's biomechanics and efficiency in a shoe. We would be returning to get a chance to run on this treadmill the following day. But right at that moment, it was time for lunch. There's a cafeteria at the Diadora HQ, and once a week, the menu is vegetarian. And fortunately for me, it was vegetarian day. Soup, beans, another kind of beans, barley, and veggie patties.
Just finished lunch. Now they're taking us to the coffee room. I can't wait.
To get coffee, we had to walk past a variety of showrooms. Here, the latest Diadora creations were on display for the variety of sports and sports styles that they currently support. Then it was finally time for us to learn about Diadora's latest creation, the Atamo Star. We heard from Gelindo Bordin, who is not only Diadora's marketing director, but he is also the only male runner to have ever won both the Boston Marathon and Olympic Marathon gold. Gelindo went over the retro Diadora shoes that served as inspiration for the Atamo Star's design, and he emphasized the culture of shoemaking heritage in this part of Italy. Galindo talked about what Diadora was trying to do with the Atamo Star. He told us that Diadora is trying to reach runners who have not experienced Diadora before, and Diadora is hoping to connect with those runners who want modern technology, but who also appreciate an upper with made-in-Italy craftsmanship.
That is it from Diadora HQ for today anyway. We'll be coming back tomorrow for some testing. Now, we're gonna head over to the company store.
There were a few things I was looking for at the company store. First was long tights. Montebelluna in March was a bit chillier than I had anticipated, and I needed a longer layer for the morning runs. Second, I wanted to get a long sleeve for my younger daughter, who is training for her first Girls on the Run 5K. And finally, I wanted to check out the workwear.
Because I gotta tell you, I don't know if you knew, I did not know that Diadora makes workwear, and it's kind of amazing. Look at this jacket. And I love these pants.
I ended up not getting either the jacket or the pants, which I now regret. But it looks like I might be able to order it online in the US. Dinner was at a fancy Italian restaurant that, of course, had great wine. But they also had these comically large breadsticks. I had like 5 of them. For my first course, I got a spring-themed dish with bok choy, asparagus, and chickpeas. There was a bean puree and a cheesy sauce as well, and the whole thing was quite delicious. Next, I had a Jackson Pollock-inspired tortellini. It was creamy, delicious, and pretty.
Good morning. It is about 7:30 a.m. here on a Thursday. I think it's Thursday in Montebelluna. We're gonna go for another run. I'm gonna try to avoid some hills, but I think that's unavoidable here.
There wasn't a scheduled group run that day, so Drew, Ashley, and I decided to try a bit of a longer route. We started out doing a reverse vineyard loop, and then we ran down the hill that Drew and I ran up the other day, stopping to take a picture along the way. Once we got to Montebelluna, we swung a bit further south to get to a different part of the gravel path, and the running was just so free-flowing. The path took us over to Caerano di San Marco, and then it was back up the hill to return to the hotel.
I got 9.72 miles. Whew. That's gorgeous. Ashley's filming me. Good run, guys.
That was fun.
After breakfast, the group headed over to visit the nearby town of Asolo. It's full of history, and it's got so much old world charm that it didn't seem real. Asolo is a beautiful city that is both very old and very hilly, which seems to be a real draw for cyclists. The place was like a Zwift world. We wandered through the cobbled streets and decided to start the steep walk up to La Rocca, a fortification at the top of Asolo that has been there in some form or another
for 1,000 years.
Made it to the top. A lot of stairs, but the view is worth it. Unfortunately, La Rocca was closed that day and we couldn't get inside. So we walked down the hill to get some gelato and relax at a cafe. By this point in the trip, I was getting the hang of how to order food in Italy. They eat 2 rounds of food per meal, it seems, primi and secondi, and sometimes there's even a pre-game round of antipasti. For this meal, I had soup for my first round, and then roast duck and potatoes for the second. Our last stop in Asolo was Fondazione Sport System Museo. This place chronicled the history of athletic footwear production in the region. The area was home to military boot construction during World War II, like these rain boots that guards would literally put over their regular boots. And after the war, the knowledge and production capacity turned to mountaineering. The first boots used to summit Everest were made here, and it's kind of shocking to see just how rudimentary mountaineering equipment used to be. In the 70s, injection molding quickly took over the entire ski boot industry, and skates too quickly evolved. Cycling shoes also have a long history of production in the region, as do track spikes and soccer cleats. The passion for creating specialized footwear for sports runs deep in this part of Italy. Got this off back at Diadora. Now we're getting in the lab, do some efficiency testing. Good morning, guys. It is about 7:45 on a Friday, last morning in Montebelluna. Time to go for a run. Alright guys, we're about halfway into the run. Today, I'm gonna try going on a route that I haven't gone on yet. It's not exactly a trail, I think it's a walking path. I've been avoiding it so far this week because I didn't want to get my Atamo Stars too dirty, but since this is the last day of the trip, I'm gonna go for it today. I don't know what any of these signs mean. Hopefully I'm allowed to go this way. Okay, so I got way lost. I should have taken a turn somewhere on that path. I thought I'd be almost back to the hotel by now. I'm 2 miles away. That's not too bad. I am a little worried though because we got to get packed and ready to go because we're heading to Venice. All right. 5.38 miles total. That wasn't too bad. I think I added less than a mile by getting lost, but it was a fun little adventure. Oh, let's take a shower. Let's get cleaned up. Let's get on a bus.
We have made it into Venice. Can't wait to go explore. We're gonna meet up with Floriano, who's gonna be our tour guide for today, like he's been for pretty much the entire week. Hopefully, we'll be able to get a lot of pizza today. But Floriano does not love the pizza here in Venice, so we'll see how much he lets us have.
Venice is a city of all canals and no roads, so there are a lot of bridges. But some bridges are more famous than others, and we started out by crossing the Ponte dell'Accademia, which provides some of my favorite views of Venice. And then we walked by Caerano di San Marco, which has an incredible array of statues, and inside an impressive collection of art.
All right, we've made it into the main square. It's spectacular here. It's such a beautiful place of geometry, repetition, and then decoration. It's really quite incredible.
All over Venice, you'll see images of winged lions. These are the lions of San Marco, the patron saint of Venice. And the book the lion carries is usually the Gospel according to Mark. Next, we walked over to Ponte di Rialto, which is probably the most famous bridge in Venice. There were a lot of people there.
All right, time to eat some lunch. We're very close to the giant bridge that everyone goes to.
Floriano would not let us eat pizza for lunch, and he insisted we go to a place with good seafood. For primi, I had sardines and polenta. Drew had scallops. Ashley had burrata. For secondi, I had the branzino. And then, of course, espresso afterwards.
Just finished with lunch. I had the sardines, which were very fishy, which makes sense, they're sardines, but still very fishy. I don't think I've had sardines before, and it was kind of weird to just eat like an entire fish, like bones and all. Kind of felt like, have you ever seen a duck eat? It just swallows kind of everything. It's weird and chaotic. It's kind of what it felt like. I'm not sure I'll go ordering sardines again, but I was told it is a local specialty here.
After lunch, we met with a local tour guide. We started at the bridge by the Doge Palace. Yes, I said Doge, pronounced and spelled the same as the meme coin. And they were the ruling class as Venice arose as a merchant trading powerhouse in the region. This bridge of size connects the palace where the criminal punishments would be rendered and the prison that people would never leave. The tour guide was excellent, and she taught us about the Venetian rise to prominence through trade and how their wealth quickly required the development of massive military power. Overlaying that history was the influence of the church,
and their charity towards abandoned children, many of whom would be taught to play music, with Vivaldi being an orphanage violin instructor in the early 1700s. The tour ended in the Arsenal, a place where ships could be built extremely quickly, and now it is a venue for fashion shows and art installations. From the Arsenal, we took a motion sickness-inducing boat ride back to the main part of Venice, where we finally had some pizza, followed by gelato. The world is so big that I am generally of the mindset that I don't want to visit anywhere twice. But Venice is one of those places where I could visit over and over again. This was my second time in this city and region, and I know I'll be back again soon.